Hello my dear students, welcome back to the another virtual class of history. So today we are going to start with a new chapter, that is the medieval India. Okay, and in medieval India we'll discuss the Cholas. Okay, you might have heard but you have not studied medieval India. So you know that every history is divided into three parts. Okay, and the first one is ancient history, second one is medieval history, middle history, and then the third one we have is modern history. Okay, so definitely there should not be any confusion. So medieval history is to be studied because most of the students, they don't show interest in medieval history. So we need to study about medieval history also, and we need to study about the history of the southern kingdoms. Okay, so the Cholas. So we'll discuss in short about the Cholas. First of all, we'll discuss about the sources. Okay, so let's start. So the sources, very important, because without sources we cannot construct the history of the Cholas, or the history of the medieval India is impossible without any sources. So which are the sources we'll discuss? Literary sources is there. Okay, then we have is literary sources is there. Okay, then archaeological sources is there, then coins we'll discuss, then the last one, the Brideshwar temple, I'll discuss little bit in detail. Okay, now you can see here, if you talk about literary sources, then we come to know that we don't have much information about the literary sources. Written works are very rare to be found from the southern part. Okay, just one Tamil work. You can see here only one Tamil work is there, that is Kalingata Puranam. Okay, Puranam. Okay, that was written by Jaya Kondar. Okay, Jayam Kondar has written this work, and this is also a ballad. This is also a ballad. Now you may say, what is the meaning of ballad? Ballad means a song or a poem. Okay, it is a ballad is a song or a poem that tells a story. It is a song or a poem that's in the form of song or poem, the story is told. That is ballad. So definitely that is also not in the recorded form. It is in the form of ballad. Okay, and what is mentioned in that ballad? What is actually we get it from that ballad? It is there that it was after the victory of Kalinga. The Chola king, okay, Kolutunga I, who became victorious in Kalinga. So that victory movement is mentioned down in the form of ballad. Okay, and that ballad also give us or provide us the list of predecessors of that king also. That king predecessors are also mentioned in that ballad. Okay, so we don't have much information about the literary sources of the Chola empire. Okay, only one is there, that is also in the form of ballad. Okay, small poem. Okay, a song or a poem told in the form of a story. Okay, so that is there, and that was also written by Jayam Kondar. Okay, Kalingata Puranam. Okay, P-A-R-A-N-I, Parani. Kalingata Parani. So some of these terms are very, very difficult. I face a problem because after my facial paralysis, this type of pronunciation is very, very difficult for me. So anyhow, you'll not mind for that. Okay. Now next one we have is archaeological sources. So what do we get? What information do we get from the archaeological, that is through excavations and all? So it is mentioned that a large number of inscriptions of the Chola empire, okay, Chola period has been discovered in almost entire part of Tamil Nadu. Okay, and those were inscribed on stones and generally on the temple walls. Inscribed on stones, generally on the temple walls, inscriptions were there. So that is what we are discussing, inscriptions. Something inscribed on the stones or the walls of the temples. Okay, Now let me tell you that this many numbers of inscriptions whichever were excavated, my dear, those excavations, it has been believed that those inscriptions were issued not by the rulers. Those were not issued by the rulers, those were issued by the local bodies such as village assemblies, okay, or the city corporations. They issued it. It was it was in form of orders, okay. It has been mentioned that Raja I, okay, started the practice of recording the important events of his reign in stones. Important events were recorded in the on the stones, okay. So this is all about the inscriptions, and like many of the inscriptions whichever were recorded on the temple walls issued by local bodies provide records of charities. Whoever had done charities, those were recorded over there, like constructions or repairs done by the temples. Whoever has done it in the name of that person, those inscriptions were written down, okay. Irrigation tanks and even decisions taken by local bodies, okay, regarding the punishment in offenses, resolutions of disputes, okay, sales and transfer of property, everything were recorded in that form. Papers were not there that time, pen, paper, pencil was not there, chalk was also not there. So all this were inscribed on stones or the walls of the temples, okay. Now next one we have is this one we have done it. Now third one is coins. You have to keep in mind archaeological sources, okay. This one you have to keep it in mind, archaeological sources, that will give you inscription as per a reduced syllabus. Now coins. Now coins definitely were issued. Chola kings issued coins in gold and silver. Gold and silver coins were issued by them, and but those were also very rare, but in a good number. Very rare but in good number, okay. So gold coins are rare, but a good number of silver coins were there, okay, have been found during this time. Gold coins were not found, but silver coins were maximum silver coins were excavated in maximum. So that shows that gold coins were very rare, but silver coins have been found to large extent. So here is a picture, gold coin and the silver coin picture I have shown over here. You can go through this, okay. Now this have the names, those gold coins and the silver coins whichever were excavated. What does it throw light on? What do we get information out of those? So this coins whichever were excavated, my dear, these have the names of the Chola kings. Names of the Chola kings were mentioned on one side, okay, and the other side the figure of tiger, okay, in sign of the Cholas were mentioned, okay, on the other side. Then they gave very limited information, and those coins could give only very limited information and are not as good source of political history. That is, we cannot depend more on the gold coins or the silver coins. That throws very little idea about the reign of the Cholas, though part of the sources, okay. That is a part of the sources, we can not ignore that one, okay. So that is all about the coins, gold coins, gold and silver, okay. Gold and silver coins were also excavated. Did you understand? So these are some of the important sources of reconstructing the Chola empires, which falls under the medieval period. Now we'll discuss about the Brihadeswara temple, okay. So we'll discuss now about the another famous sources which help us to reconstruct the history of the Chola. So that is Brihadeswara temple, okay. Which temple? Brihadeswara temple, okay. Where it is located, I have mentioned it over here for your simplicity. Located at Tanjore. Where it is located? It is located at the Tanjore, okay. It is located at Tanjore, okay. Tanjore, okay. Now it was built by whom? It was built by Raja I. Who built it? It was built by Raja I, okay. Built by Raja I, Okay, in which century? It was built in the year 10th century. So it is mentioned over, date is also given over here. You can see here 985 to 1014 AD. So that is the year when Raja Raja I built this famous Brihadswara temple. So it was dedicated to Lord Shiva. Okay, dedicated to whom? Lord Shiva. Okay, it was dedicated to Lord Shiva. So this was one of the magnificent, okay, magnificent temple. This is one of the magnificent example of the Chola architecture. So it is one of the famous temple. Even it is visited by many other tourists, whoever visits in our country. Okay, it was built by Raja Raja I. Okay, so don't get annoyed with the handwriting, my dear. Okay, so just understand it. So it was located at Tanjore and it was built by Raja Raja I and dedicated to Lord Shiva. Why I am explaining this? Because you may be asked the question, okay, about Brihadswara temple, okay, sorry, Brideswara temple, and you have to mention it. Simply right, Brideswara temple is located at Tanjore. It was built by Raja Raja I in the 10th century and it is dedicated to Lord Shiva. Okay, or we can also call it as a Shiv temple. It is one of the Shiv temple at Tanjore known as a Brideswara temple. Okay, Brideswara temple. Okay, so very, very important. Now we'll discuss about the architecture, some of the important features of Brideswara temple. Okay, now the last topic we are going to discuss about Brideswara temple. Some of the architectural features we are going to discuss, how it is made of, to what extent we can have information about Brihadeswara temple, which is also known as Shiv temple, which is located at Tanjore. Okay, which is, this temple is dedicated to Lord Shiva. Okay, so architectural features, you can see here architectural features. First of all, it had a spacious courtyard. The courtyard space was there where people can sit during prayers and all. Spacious courtyard was there. Okay, and then the pyramidical structure over DT room, over the Garbhagriha, that is known as DT room. Okay, where the DT is kept, and above that a pyramidical structure was there. Okay, pyramidical structure was there above the Garbhagriha. Okay, then structure was this pyramidical structure above the DT room or the Garbhagriha was artistically designed. The structure was artistically carved. The artist had carved it very finely. Okay, it was so beautiful. Okay, so you can search on Google also some of the features, pictures of Brideswara temple. You will get it. Okay, I cannot put it because copyright claim will be there, that is why. Okay, so carved it. Then the Brideswara temple hall was there, and that hall was completely pillared. Tall pillars were there above the hall. Okay, and in that hall people used to sit during the prayers and all, whenever rituals were conducted during those time. Okay, so for that purpose tall pillars were there. Okay, and then next one, the enclosure, the large enclosure was there, which has huge gates, lofty gates were there, and that was known as Gopuram. The lofty gates were called Gopuram. Lofty means huge gates were there. Okay, the enclosure and the lofty gates were very, very tall and huge. And the ancient architectures, definitely we get it. No, it's very, very tall and very, very huge. Okay, so pyramidical structure had a diminishing tiers and a kind of small dome on the top. Small domes were there on the top. Okay, dome means this type of shape. Okay, dome shapes were there. Okay, so the picture you can get it in your book also. You can check it out. It is there in your book also. Okay, so this is all about the Brihadswara, okay, temple. So, and let me tell you one more thing, that this Brideswara temple, okay, Brihadeswara temple has been recognized by UNESCO, as the World Heritage Site. The World Heritage Site. So this has been recognized by UNESCO. Okay, United Nations has recognized this as a World Heritage Site. Okay. And it is all one more thing I did not write it, that this Gopuram, no, this Gopuram consisted of 13 stories. Okay, Teratala. 13 successive stories were there. Okay, and the temple is covered from base to top with sculptures. Sculptures have done that. Sculpture is a art. It is built on one single rock by giving them proper shapes. So it is a finest work. We can say that the difficult work is the sculpting work, which is done by the sculpture. Okay, so this is all about the architectural features of Brihadeswara temple, which is also known as the Shiva temple, which is located at Tanjore, which was built by Raja I. Okay, why did I write it on the board? So that you can understand it more clearly. And if a question is asked, suppose you will be given the picture of a Brihadeswara temple, and you may be asked identify the picture. Okay, you may be asked where it is located, you may be asked by whom and when it was built. Okay, which deity is dedicated to. Okay, mention its architectural features. Okay, then you may be even asked who declared the above monument as a World Heritage Site. The answer is UNESCO. So these are some of the things we need to know. It is not only for question from the examination point of view. I hope you might have got enough idea about Brihadeswara temple. Okay, if you happen to get a chance, you just go and visit that place. It's a beautiful place. I have never gone. If I get a chance, I'll definitely go and visit it. Okay, so spacious courtyard, pyramidal structure, pillared hall, and then large enclosure. So this is all about Brihadeswara temple. Okay, hope you all have understood it. Hope you have honestly watched this video till the end. So if you have not done it, don't be dishonest with your studies. Please work hard and study properly. It is only for you. This is the best time that you can utilize in exploring different sectors of the books. Okay, you can know about all these architectural things. Okay, so hope you all have understood. So this is we have come to the end of our today's class. So we'll meet again in next class. Till then, please take care of yourself. Stay safe. Bye bye.